From Trideo Media, I'm Father Roderick, and this is the Daily Breakfast. Hi and welcome to another episode of the Daily Breakfast. I'm Father Roderick, and today I'm going to give you my review of a movie that came out of nowhere, literally. A lot of people were watching the Superbowl in the United States, and during the Super Bowl you have a lot of advertisements, commercials that play. One of those commercials was an announcement from Netflix that there would be the launch of a big budget movie in the Cloverfield series. This started with, I think the first movie was just called Cloverfield, about this kind of giant Godzilla-like dinosaur that destroyed half of New York. But it was filmed with small cameras, and so it was one of those first shaky video productions. You'll hardly ever get to see the monster, which kind of added to the tension of the story. And then all of a sudden there was a second movie, which also came out of nowhere, but at least that was a theatrical release. It was Cloverfield Lane. And everybody, when they saw the word Cloverfield, expected this to be a sequel, story-wise, that we would see what happened to New York after this Godzilla-like monster destroyed the city. But it was a totally different movie. This was about a guy in a kind of a bunker, and there were some other people, and it was more of a kind of a psychological thriller with a little bit of a sci-fi vibe towards the end. And then this third movie was announced during the Super Bowl, and they said it's called Cloverfield Paradox, or The Cloverfield Paradox, and it's live right after the game. And so all of a sudden this big budget movie had its premiere on Netflix, and no one knew that that movie was even in production, let alone that it would be launched like that. So that was really, really interesting to see how the world of movie production is changing, but also how they are trying new approaches to find an audience for these movies. Now, what struck me was that even though this is a movie in the Cloverfield series, and it was also helmed by J.J. Abrams, he didn't write the movie and he didn't direct it, but I think he was a producer, he was definitely involved in it, and he also played a part in the promotion of it. Despite the fact that he was involved, the first reviews of the movie completely trashed it. Everybody was like, oh, it's a good thing they launched this on Netflix because it was terrible. The quality is terrible, and this would have never worked in the movie theater. However, there are some indications that the movie on Netflix was actually a massive success, and a lot of people checked it out and watched it. And I was one of those people. And I did not expect anything good. I was like, this gets so much criticism. I loved the first Cloverfield movie because it was such a innovative idea, and because of the kind of the mystery thing. This is very much J.J. Abrams. It's always the mystery box, you know. It's like, I have a little box here and I won't tell you what's in it until the end of the movie. So constantly you're wondering, well, what's in the box? What's in the box? And in a way, the monster that you didn't see, and at first you didn't even know that it was a monster that was creating all this havoc, was the mystery of the movie. And so towards the end, you're still hoping to see something, and there is a tiny little bit in the final scene of the first Cloverfield movie that may tie into this movie. But this is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to go into details why those two movies may be linked. But it was very cool, and it definitely something that we hadn't seen before. The second movie, I was also pleasantly surprised because of the amazing acting, and it was a very gripping, tense situation where you're constantly wondering, what's real and what's not. Are these people just imagining things, or is there really something going on outside? And it constantly kind of plays with the mystery, and you're constantly thinking, what is truly going on, and that keeps you on the edge of your seat. This third movie, having seen the negative feedback, I'm like, it's probably just going to be one of those movies that they decided to launch on Netflix because when it was finished, they watched it and they decided that this is not going to fly in the movie theater. So let's just put this on Netflix and use a Super Bowl advertisement so that people will check it out and they won't be able to read the bad reviews before seeing it. But I watched it a couple of days later, and I have to honestly say that because I went in with very low expectations, I was pleasantly surprised. This is the opposite of the movie that I reviewed last week, Black Panther, where I went into the theater with super high expectations, thinking that this would be the best Marvel movie ever. And I was like, oh, it's an okay movie, but yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that it wasn't the revelation that they promised me it would be. With Cloverfield Paradox, I didn't even know what the movie would be about, and the first few shots are showing me a space station. And then the story is, again, no spoilers, but it's just the general outline. The Earth is in disarray. We don't know exactly what happened, but there is a massive energy problem. People don't have enough resources anymore, and the environment is completely broken. And so the last few remaining cities are struggling to survive for only a few more months, and then there will be no energy, and the entire population of the planet Earth will probably die. And so that's the beginning. So like that's interesting. And then the people that are in the spaceship, like a big version of the International Space Station, they are trying to find a solution to the energy problem. And then there is some technobabble about some kind of a generator and some particle that they try to hit, or there's nothing really very substantial to the science behind it. But the idea is that the small crew that is in that space station needs to figure out how to kind of reboot an infinite source of energy, beam that out to the planet Earth so that mankind can be saved. And I was like, that's a very cool, a little bit cliche, but still cool premise for a movie. And I loved the way the movie looked. I could totally tell that the special effects looked great. This was not a little plastic model of a space station, and people were not in front of a green screen. No, they built actual sets. The camera direction was really good, so I loved the cinematography. I really liked the actors. This was definitely a way above a run-of-the-mill TV movie. And I was intrigued. I was like, so what's going on? Are they going to succeed? And they show you both what's happening inside the space station, but also you get a glimpse of what's going on with the people down below on the planet Earth. And especially, of course, there's one of the people in the space station has I think it was a fiance who is down below, and he's also trying to survive. And they can communicate using some kind of an intergalactic Skype, so they can send each other video messages. But then, so they try to start this energy thing, this machine or whatever they have on board, and that's where the story really starts. Because after a lot of trouble, finally something happens. Again, I'm trying to stay spoiler free, and that breaks the space-time continuum. That this is one of those disasters that probably Doc Brown would have warned Marty about. And all of a sudden, stuff starts to happen. Very gruesome things. There are scenes that are straight from movies like Event Horizon or the Alien series. And it's sometimes very scary. There is even one of the scenes is looks like an homage, if you can use that word, for the chest bursting scene in Alien, and I was like, oh my God, that was not what I expected, because it just starts off as a science fiction movie and it gradually turns into, you could say, a psychological horror sci-fi movie. But I kept watching. I was like, this is interesting. What's going to happen next? There are also some people that turn out to be villains, and it's like, okay, what's their motivation? How is this going to end? And is this going to have a happy end or not? I'm not going to say anything, but I really liked the way the story was evolving, and and I know I'm a little bit, I don't like horror movies, so there were times that I actually paused a movie, and then I watched another part later on during the day, and so I kind of sometimes had to stop because I was like, and so towards the end, when I'd seen the movie, I was like, you know what, I really enjoyed this movie. It's not a great movie. It's not unique in its genre because there are lots of other sci-fi movies like Event Horizon that are similar. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed those movies as well. So I would say go watch this. If you have a subscription to Netflix, it's definitely worth your time. Just go in with low expectations. If you like sci-fi, if you like movies like Event Horizon and Alien, you'll enjoy it. That's it for today. Go over to Tradio.com for all our other shows, and thanks to my patrons for making it possible that I record these shows. If you want to join them, go over to Patreon.com/Father Roderick. I will see you tomorrow. Take care, and God bless.